3, 2, 1.
Hello everybody, welcome to Teams 101. A few minutes late, just a couple of issues with the calendar event there, but hopefully you're there now. Very odd for me because I can't see you, I can't hear you. Don't know if you're lying down in bed or whether you're looking at your screen, but here we go. So I don't know about you, but I've really struggled with Teams at the beginning. Answering a call was easy enough because we can all use a mobile phone, can't we? And the little call icon's the same, but once I figured out what was ringing, then I was able to answer it. But there's a lot more going on, isn't there, than just video calls and voice calls. Now, I'm sure you'll have some questions as you go through, and you should see that there's a question and answer message panel where you can enter your messages as text on the screen. We may not be able to answer all of them as we go through the session, but we will get responses to you after the event using the same channels that we communicated the events to you. So we'll have links there to any of the answers, and there'll also be a video available at the end as well. But you might give us a little bit of time just to tweak that and edit it a bit to cut out the mistakes I'm bound to make as we go through. So remember, we're relying on each other's broadband here, as well as NetMotion perhaps in some cases. If the event does end prematurely because of any broadband issues, we can't restart them. So we would set up another event quite quickly, and everyone will get the necessary guidance on how to get there. So straight away, we've got a bit of feedback, really. Not everybody was able to use the calendar appointment. I think some people had to copy it and paste it into their Outlook calendar. We've got a solution for that. We investigated it, found out why. It's something to do with a file association, and we'll be putting that document up on the Modern Workplace Hub, probably communicate it via Yammer as well. It will be in your Office 365 or Microsoft Advocate channel as well, so you can liaise with your local team advocates, and you'll find a list of those on the Modern Workplace Hub. As we go through, I think it's important to remember there's at least 2 or 3 ways to achieve the same result in Teams. And if you already do something differently to how I show you and it works for you, then that's probably fine. Maybe there's a slightly easier way to get to it. Maybe my way's a little bit more long-winded. And I'm sure we'll find out the easier ways to do it as we go through. Now, you may have already done a few things in Teams. Maybe you've attended a meeting, struggled with your audio, you were chatting away, and then you realised your microphone was off or something like that. So we'll have a little look at some sort of general hints and tips as well during this session, and we've got some other working from home sessions planned as well. First of all, I guess we should ask what you've looked at already. So have you had a look at the help on the Modern Workplace Hub? Have you viewed the staff IT guidance on the intranet? Maybe you've gone onto YouTube, maybe you've Googled some of the questions that you have and found your answers. But let's have a little look at what's available in Teams itself. Now, depending upon where you last closed Teams, that's generally where it opens. But if we ignore what's on the main screen for the moment and have a look down at the bottom left-hand corner, you should see a question mark in a circle with the word help just below. Now, I'm going to click on that option, and we see that there are 3 main options in there. We've got topics, training, and what's new. Let's have a look at topics first of all. Now, I found the help to be quite useful. As soon as you get into the topic section, there are some links to some of the most commonly used ones. I think I might have clicked on this live events one about 372 times since yesterday morning. Up here, you've got a search help field. Now, I'm interested in perhaps changing my profile picture, maybe put a picture of my cat up there or something. So I'm going to type in profile pic. I can press enter, click onto the magnifying glass, and straight away I've got a whole page of help telling me how I can do it, and then it goes off to maybe using videos and other sorts of options. But it says up here, select your initials or profile picture in the upper right, So that would be up there. We're going to have a look at those options in a minute or two. And then underneath your name, there is an option to change your picture, and then you can simply upload a new picture from wherever you've saved it. So we'll come back to topics as we go through. If there's a particular area that we open and we need a bit more help, we can always go back to topics and have a look for that. Now, did you know in training, there's all sorts of courses available, quite a lot of videos, but quite often when you have a little search through there, you will find courses that you can attend as well. Now, these are generally instructor-led courses. You can find them on the Microsoft Office 365 website as well. They're generally delivered from America, so they happen at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. There are some which do hit our core hours as well. But if you have signed up for an instructor-led event, if you do miss it for any reason, you will be, or a video will be available to you as long as you've signed up to the event. So you can watch it at your own time. You can do 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Maybe you're going to have a bit more time on it if you do have the time. And then there's this other one as well, what's new. Now, because I opened help from down here, and I chose topics first of all, that's where it opened. So I can use this panel to navigate to what's new, or of course I could have gone straight to it via the option down there. So whichever way you're going to go to it. Instead of relying on communications, and we get quite a lot of communications, don't we, each day, have a little check in here to find out what's new. It does exactly what it says on the tin, really. Any new updates, anything that's been published will be available to you there. And quite often there you go, yep, you'll see a link within one as well, particularly if it's something new that you can do. And I'm sure we'll all have a go at changing our background in a Teams meeting at some point. Now, let's have a little look at the layout before we get into the main body of Microsoft Teams. So we've covered the topics, we've had a little look at training, we've had a look at what's new. And as I say, we'll try and allude to that as we go through some of the options. I'm going to start up here because the first thing that you might want to consider when you're using Teams is making it accessible to you. And one of the accessibility options is to change the size of the view on your screen. So you've got a plus sign there, you've got a minus sign there. It's recommended if you are presenting or in a meeting or something that you keep it at around 70%, because then that cuts down the amount of scrolling up and down and scrolling left and right that you need to do. But as you use Teams, you will find your ideal view, I suppose. That's where I can change my picture from. There are some settings as well I can go into, including devices and things like that to make sure I've got the right microphone set up or I've got the right camera, that sort of stuff. Now let's have a look at Teams itself. It's called Teams, isn't it? So maybe we should actually start by looking at Teams. Over on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see the icons that I've got. They may not be the same as yours, and that's because I've dragged and dropped some in there, the ones that I frequently use. And down at the bottom here, apps, that's where you'll find things like your calendar and so on as well. But we won't be looking at those necessarily today. We need to get to grips a bit with Teams. So we're going to click once on the Teams option, represented by symbols of a few people there. Any Teams that you're already a member of will appear in the middle panel. So we call these bits panels. Over on the right hand side, you've got the main part of the screen. The last interaction I had was with the Modern Workplace Advocate, so that's the first thing that I see when I go into Teams. I've got an example of a team over on the left-hand side here, so I'm going to click onto that option. Now, within each team, you have channels that are nested below it, and you may have seen these 3 dots everywhere when you've been using Teams. I call them the 3 dots. I think the proper name is something like ellipsis. Or ... most people call them. If I click once onto there, I always get a sub menu. If you've ever wondered what those buttons do, just click on them to find out. You won't change anything, you won't delete anything, you won't add anything until you make the actual choice that opens from the menu. So within a team, you have channels. and the channels could represent a piece of work or a strand of work. We're going to look, or we're going to start perhaps by creating our own team. So down at the bottom of that panel, I've got an option there to join or create a team. So I'm going to click once on the join a team option. If I was joining a team, then I might have a code with which I could join. I get different teams I can view to join, but I'm going to start by creating my own team. There we go. Now this is going to be a team, a group of people delivering the same outcome. Some of the work we normally discuss face to face that enable our decisions can be carried out in this way from a new team. We're going to be creating a team for the new city park, who have got some strands of work to complete. Don't be afraid about building a team from scratch. You're just going to give it a name and a description and add some channels. Do give it some thought before you go and create one as to the structure and the members of the team. Now, we're not going to use public teams just yet. We're going to use private teams. So I'm going to click once on a private team, and that enables me to control it a bit more. It allows me to invite members and so on, and set some owners and that sort of stuff. So the first thing to do is to give my team a name. I'm going to call it the City Park team. And then down here, I can give just a brief explanation for the for the actual team. It's difficult, isn't it, to talk and type at the same time. So the team page here for City Park, and we've got a statue that we're going to clean, and we've got a playground which needs to be replaced. There we go. The only option is to create it, so I'm going to click once on create. And then after just a moment, there we go, get a nice little bit of congratulations. And the first thing it wants me to do is to add some members. So I'm not going to do that from here. I'm going to show you how to do that separately in a second or two. So I'm just going to press skip for now. And I want you to see over on the left hand side, the City Park team. There it is. Now you automatically get something called a general channel. And in there you might find sort of general posts and files and stuff like that, but we haven't explored those options yet. So we'll have a little look at those in a minute or two. All we've done so far really is give our team a name. So we're going to use those three dots over there. And we're going to select the option to add a member. There we go. Now, there's a couple of ways in which you can add members. Probably the easiest way is to start typing in their names, and then it will pick up from your contacts or from the whole council-wide contact list. So I'm going to select my first person, and then I'm going to go for a couple of others. So nice and easy, typing in the names. Might have to scroll down that list to find the person I'm looking for, or add a bit more criteria in order to narrow the list down a bit. Once I've selected the initial members, I can click onto add, and then I see those members listed in front of me. If I've accidentally added someone I didn't mean to, I've got the X, and I can always go back and add and delete and change members as I go through. Now, before you go any further, you really should make sure that you have another owner of that team. In order to select, oh, there you go, that doesn't show up when you're broadcasting it. See if it picks up somewhere there. There you go. So we can make anybody else an owner of that team. It's always good to have at least two owners, because if you're away for some reason and something needs to change or something needs to be added, then somebody with the relevant access needs to be able to do that. So we would recommend that you always had two owners, at least two owners of a team. Going to click on to close, and I've now added some members to the team. I could do it from a variety of areas. So if I go into one of my general tabs there, click on there, I still get the option to manage my channel through there as well. And managing your channel includes adding team members, as well as who can post messages, whether when a message is posted, you want to be able to notify everybody in that team. Now we're going to come back, we'll have a little look at that when we look at messages and we look at chat. So far I've added some members to my team. They should have received an email by now notifying them that they are part of that team. So the next thing to do is to create some structure around that team. So I'm going to start by adding a couple of channels. We've got two strands of work at the City Park. There's a new statue to honour key workers, which has been erected. That needs to be painted, and we need to replace the playground equipment before we can even consider reopening the playground for the public. So I'm going to click once on my City Park team, and I'm going to select the option to add a channel. So the first channel I'm going to add is statue cleaning. I think that kind of speaks for itself, so I don't think I need a further description on that. It's a standard channel, everybody in the team can access it. In our second team session that we're going to do in a couple of weeks' time, we'll have a look at different access rights, but I want to try and keep it quite simple now, and that's mainly for my benefit. Now, I'm going to tick that box to make sure that the channel shows automatically in people's channels lists as well. Click once onto add, and that's added my channel. Doesn't look like there's much going on there yet because we haven't added any files, we haven't got anything in there, but we will soon. Let's go back and add our second channel. So this is our playground replacement project. So I'm going to call it that. I've just zoomed in so you get a better view of these little pop-up boxes as well. So this is a new playground equipment and installation. There we go. Again, I want it to show automatically for everybody rather than having to open it up, because sometimes if you leave something closed, people don't realize they can open it. By doing this, when they go to the team, it'll automatically expand to show that channel. Click once onto add. Now again, I'm just going to have to zoom a little bit smaller just to make sure it's all there on the same screen for us to see. There we go. So I've got a City Park team, and I've now got two channels within that team. So what's going on over here? What's in this part of the screen? Well, whenever you go into a team or a channel, you'll always be presented with the post screen. And the post screen is a way of communicating between each other. We're going to have a little look at that in a minute or two. But somebody has just pointed out to me that we've got two playgrounds at the City Park. So I'm going to rename this playground replacement to the large playground replacement. Again, I'm using those three dots. If I didn't know where to go, clicking on those three dots is going to give me a bit of a guide. So I'm going to edit this channel, and by editing the channel, I can change its name and I can change its description. So I'm going to click once onto save, and the change is shown almost immediately within there. If I need to go back and add members, remember, I can do that at any time, but I'm going to do it at the team level. I'm not going to do it at the channel level. So main part, back to that. In the post section, I'll see any communication, as I said earlier. We'll come back to have a look at that shortly. There's also a files section. Now, the files section, I love it. I think it's great because you can work collaboratively. You can work at the same time as somebody else. You don't even have to be sharing your screen or anything. You might remember that on shared drives, you don't really get that facility. If somebody's in the spreadsheet, then you send them an email, ask them to come out of it, or you set up a notification to tell you when somebody's out. I won't need to do that anymore if I put my spreadsheets and my shared files into the files area. You also get something called a wiki. We're not going to go into that today. And you also get a chance to add some tabs. You might have some other apps that you want to include in here, but we'll be looking at those in a session in a couple of weeks' time for the Teams 102 session. If you have booked on for that, you may want to receive an update for the link, and we'll send that out at some point over the next couple of days. So what can we do with posts? Now, it's important to remember that when you're posting, you can post at the team level and you can post at the channel level as well. So the screen kind of looks the same, doesn't it? Whether it's on the team or whether it's on the channel. So it's always worth having a quick look just to make sure which area you are in. Now I'm going to go to the team level and let's just have a look at how this particular piece of function behaves. It's important to remember that posts within a channel are not chats with other people. So there is an area, isn't there, up at the top here. We're going to look at it soon. It's called chat. That's where we can chat to anyone within the organization and people that are outside of the organization as well. But when we're looking at teams, we're going to be talking to the people that are within that team. So I'm going to start by mentioning somebody individually. Can you get some teas and coffees while you are out, please? Now I know what sort of response I'm going to get back from that, so I will move away before that person responds. So there you go. I've used my channel there to post to an individual, and then I'm going to do the next one to say, hi everyone, Manya is, oh, let's get her name right, Manya is getting the drinks in, socially distanced, of course. So I communicate individually to a person and I can communicate to another person within there as well. Now, you don't get a lot of formatting options, but you may have noticed down at the bottom there are a few. There you go, Manya's come back. When I start typing in a message, I do get some formatting options. Now, this is one area where you may want to make a couple of notes. So if you want to grab some attention, if you've got a channel that has a lot of people in it and you want their attention drawn to a post immediately, rather than a conversation, do you notice just up here above some of the formatting options, it says new conversation. If I click onto that little downward pointing arrow, I could select announcement. It's exactly the same as a conversation. It just gives you a few different formatting options. So I can say, hey, and grab somebody's attention that way. I could change an image. I could put my own image onto the background. I could also change the color scheme and that sort of stuff. Before I send it, I might want to put some emotion things. What are they called? Emojis. Might want to put some of those in. I might want to attach a document to it as well, just so people are aware that it's there and people can have a look at it. And I've got my usual formatting options up at the top as well. They work just like they would in Microsoft Word or anything, any other Microsoft products you've been using. If I want to send that message, I need to be looking for the send icon, and I often get it confused, as I did just then, with the stream icon. The stream icon's to do with videos. We'll look at that maybe later if we've got time on this session. But if I want to send that message, I'm just going to click once on return or click on to send, and then a new message has been sent, and it's just got a bit more formatting. So within a team, within a channel, you can communicate with those team members without going off to Excel, without phoning them up, or without even picking up the video call options or the meeting options. You can just chat back and forth within that channel. Fantastic. You've got some formatting options. You can enclose or attach documents. You can make videos and you can format the messages. What else can we do? Well, let's have a look at files. As I said earlier, files are my interesting area, the area that I've used the most, really. And I think, you know, when somebody first showed me this, I was like, oh yeah, it's just a file. I can enclose that in Outlook or put it on a shared drive. But the technology, if you like, that's available to us using files within Teams is a lot better, a lot more relevant perhaps than just a shared drive. Now, once you get into your files section, you've got some options up here, haven't you? And you don't need to use them all by any means. I know I can open a document and I kind of know what SharePoint is, but I'm not that confident with it. So all I'm simply going to do is upload an existing document. Click once on upload. Your normal Windows browsers appear, your normal Windows browser appears, and I've saved a folder on my desktop for City Park that I can get into and pick up my files. So previously I might have had this on a shared drive or something like that. Let me just check which one I'm in. I'm in the statue one, so I'm going to grab that one and open it. And then when you do that, over up here on the right, can you see it was very quick, but it did say it was uploading it and it's now available there. Now I'll go in and open that file in a minute for you, and I'm just going to upload my next one as well. So I've gone into a different channel within the same team. It always goes to the first screen, the post screen. So I'm going to click onto files. There we go. And I'm going to upload my next file, which is going to be my playground replacement tasks. So I'll put that in as well. Only takes a moment to upload that. They're very small documents. Obviously, the bigger the document, the longer it takes. If you're connected onto, you know, a poor connection, if your Wi-Fi is not particularly brilliant, then it will take a little bit longer. The message is going through NetMotion back to your Wi-Fi, back to NetMotion as well. Now, I've just had a message come up on my screen saying I've got bad network quality. That often comes up when you've uploaded or downloaded a document. Right, let's go into my statue cleaning channel, into my files, and then within my file, I'm going to open up my folder. I'm going to open up my file, I beg your pardon. I can create structures in there. I can create folders, move documents into a folder and so on. So here's my file as it is so far. So this is listing the costs and the items I need. So I think once this spreadsheet's complete, I'll probably add the requisitioner for the team into this channel as well. And then they'll be able to see exactly what's needed. I haven't had to send it on a separate email. I'm not going to worry that the one I send is different to the one that a colleague has sent, because it's all up there and all in one place. Now, I've let everybody know in my team that these files are there, so they can get on and put the costs in at any time. I've got the cost for the elevated platform we need. You can see that we're going to have some rainbow paint. We've got some brushes and some rollers, and obviously we're going to need some signs, and we're going to have a fence around. So some of the stuff we're hiring, some of the stuff we're buying. Now, the cost for the platform is quite expensive, so going to pop that in. They come as each, and obviously I'm just getting one of them. Now, at any other time, my colleagues can also be updating this, and I think that they're probably updating it as we speak. Now, going to come out of this, I'm going to use my back button. We haven't seen that one in use before yet. So if I click back, there we go, takes me back to the previous view. Back again will take me both to the pack screen, take me back to the post screen. So I can use those arrows up there to navigate backwards and forwards. There we go. Now, if I go back to my large playground replacement thing, into my files there, let's have a look at what I can do with the files. Now, I can open them as you saw earlier on. I can simply click on the link and then they'll open as open within the window here. But I have got some other options as well. If I feel like I need to download the file, I can click on my download option, and then I might want to work on that offline or something like that. I'm not going to do that right here because the download window doesn't appear within Teams when you're broadcasting. Maybe I want to copy a link. Maybe I'm going to send an email out and put an urgent message on it just to draw everybody's attention to it again, to drive people to the correct channel so they stop using the one on the shared drive and they start to pick up the one that we can work collaboratively on. Always have a problem with that word. Let's go down to statue cleaning again. Let's have a look and see what's going on in there. So if I pick up my files now, now look, somebody else has been in there and updated it as well. So let's open it up and have a look and see what's going on. Oh yeah, okay, so yeah, it looks like Manya's updated my request for the rainbow paint. So she's obviously gone off, got some quotes for that and found out where we're going to get them from. Now, when did she do that, I wonder? Let's have a look. Have you seen this function before? Up at the top of most of your file windows, once you've opened the application, there'll be a little light bulb, and this is where you can really get some help immediately. So what I'm going to do is type in version. Oh, okay, so it's called version history in Teams. Sometimes it's called version control, isn't it? The area where you can pick up previous versions of the document. Let's have a little look. I don't know if you noticed as well, but while I was talking, while I was typing in version, did you see that signage got updated straight away as well? So I'm in that document, Manya's in that document, and someone else is in that document at the same time, updating it with no corruption and no locking. Let's click once on version history. And then over on the right hand side, can you see the different versions? So I went into it 5 minutes ago, went into it a few minutes ago. So that was my upload. That was when I opened it. And then my colleague went in, Manya, at the same time as me. And just now, another colleague's gone in as well. If I want to restore any of those copies, I can go back to a previous copy. That pink highlight is showing me which version I'm saving. So if I save this now, I'm saving it with that entry because that was the entry made at that point. If I go back to 2 minutes ago, this time, because it's not me, because it's another colleague, it's highlighted it in a different color. And if I go back to what was just changed, there we go. I see that other color as well there. So I was pink, another colleague was sort of a light gray, and then the latest colleague to go in and change it is showing up as blue. So I can restore any of those versions back to a previous version, or I can simply go ahead with this version. There's an option there to save a copy. That's not saving it in Teams. That would be saving it elsewhere outside of Teams. So I don't even need to click on a save icon. I can just come straight out of that version history back to the previous screen, which was before the file was opened. And there's the previous screen with your latest audit, your latest view of who was on there. Those three buttons, those dots, those ellipses, they're always available as well from pretty much everywhere. Now, let's just go back to the posts section for a moment. There we go. I don't need to tell somebody I've updated that file. Whenever they go back into that file, they'll always see the last person to update it. Let's just have one more look at the version history. So click once on there. There we go. And that was my last version. Fantastic. All the changes are there. Brilliant. At no time did I have to press a save button. Now, occasionally, when you come into these documents, can you see up here I've got editing? Now, that's probably because I'm the document owner and I uploaded the document myself. But sometimes if you're not the document owner and you didn't upload it yourself, it might not open in editing view. It might only open in viewing view. And that would mean that when you click into a field and you try and type something, you're going to get a message to tell you it's in read-only mode. So that's not because somebody else is in it. That's purely and simply because of the mode that defaults in to the type of document. So just be aware of that sometimes. If you are going to collaborate, then you can click onto editing, and obviously that would then open it up and allow you to do it. I'm not sharing my screen with anybody here. I could do that, so I could have instigated a call and I could have shared my screen and got my other colleagues to have a look at it as I was doing it, to discuss it. We won't be doing that in this session. There isn't time, unfortunately, but we will be having a look at how we do that in our future session in a couple of weeks' time. So let's just have a little recap of what we've done so far. Just moving back. I created my team. Within my team, I created my channels. And within my channels, I told everyone about it. And then I used my files section to upload the files that we're going to be working on together. I can add members at any time using my add member option. I've got some manage team options as well, but as I said, we're going to look at those a bit later on. I can get a link to the team. So if I really want to push it, I can choose to get a link. And then when I copy that link, it's available now in my paste options in my clipboard. So if I open another application, particularly in Outlook or something like that, then I can add it into there, send it off, and it's another reminder that that team is there and it's up and running. Pardon me. Now we're going to have a look at chat. As you can see up at the top there, I have a new chat. You may have seen it a minute or two ago when Manu replied about sugars and milk. So clicking once on the icon at the top there for chat. We're looking at the standard icons. We're not bringing any more apps in today. Apps are available, things like Zoom, things like Planner, even the calendar is an app, so you might not have your calendar in Teams. Now, looking at chats, earlier on I just did a quick tidy up, so I closed my recent chats, but the default for when you come in is going to show you all of your chat options. Now, when we do these live events, we have a presenter. That's me, Matthew Empson. Might have mentioned that earlier on. I wish I hadn't, because now I might get a few emails. But you can see that my producer, my colleague, is it from Culture Change HR. He sent me a message to say that there are a couple of questions, and I can have a look at those questions a bit later on, and I can pick some of those up and try to get some of them answered for you. And I'll do that panel in a bit. But we're going to concentrate on the main part of the presentation. Right, let's have a look at chat. So I want a new chat. That's my option at the top of the screen. So I click once onto new chat. Now I get a little bit more functionality in chat than I got on the messages within the channel. But remember, when you're using chat, you're not just chatting to the people in your team or your channel. You're talking to absolutely anybody across the authority. Now, within digital customer services and IT&D, information technology, we've got a director there called Peter Bishop, and we can just type in his name and select him. He's not in my team, he's not in my my channels, but I was able to just go into the to field there to start typing in the name and simply picking up the address. I might want to add a few more people to it as well. So if I pick up the structure there you go, there's our gold command structure starting to appear. Once I've selected people, I'm going to click into here and then I'm going to start typing my message. But again, that's quite a small area, isn't it, for typing your message? So when you're using chat, one of the new bits of functionality there is to use the pop-out option. So if I click once on there, I've now popped that out, and that's a bit of an easier one for me to see, isn't it? So I can then start typing in my message. Have you approved my pay? Oh, no, sorry, no one else needs to see that. So I can start typing in my message there. I've got my formatting options, a little bit different to the previous ones. It's not an announcement, it's more of a chat back and forth. I've also got the ability to set delivery options like you do in Microsoft Outlook as well. Only you've got this little urgent thing as well. That's a bit like sort of, standing outside and saying, let me in, let me in, let me in, knock, 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 knock. But if it is really urgent, then it can bypass the status that somebody sometimes has. And again, we'll be looking at those sort of extra things in our second Teams one in a couple of weeks. Once I've got my message in place, if I'm going to send that and I'm not going to send this one, then I'll just simply click once on the send icon and send that message across. And then any responses, any dialogues you have, they will appear in your chat as your most recent one. There's another. I said, didn't I, at the beginning, there's always 2 or 3 ways to do something. And up here, I've got an option to create a new chat as well. And then my draft chat that I haven't sent's available there. Don't think I'm going to use that one. So clicking on those 3 little buttons will give me the option to discard it. There we go. And then if I go back to a chat I had that crosses over a couple of days, you can see I sent somebody a message asking how they were and so on. That was in order to get something fixed that had gone wrong. So I logged a call with the help desk. The help desk got in touch, said somebody would be coming to me with some help. And sure enough, early this morning they got in touch. They used Teams to get into my machine, and then they were able to turn the camera back on. But I don't think it's working brilliantly, so I probably need to clean it or something like that. But I'm quite happy not to have the camera on. Right, I hope everybody's getting on okay so far. I will recap in a bit, but there's just one more little option that we need to have a little talk about, really, and that is cyber security. So there is a YouTube video for cyber security, and there is a page dedicated to it on the Modern Workplace Hub. I suggest you have a look in there, but I do need to just give you these key messages. So nothing's going to appear on screen for a moment or two. I'm just going to talk about these messages in that we are all responsible for protecting the council's assets, and we're talking about their information, their digital assets here. And there are three practical tips, three bits of information that you should really try and have in your mind when it comes to cyber security. The first one, of course, is don't click on any links in an email that you don't recognize. So we had one in a shared box the other day. It had come from somebody called Scarlett Johansson and was offering us a whole wealth of information about contacts of people within the IT industry. And if I'd have clicked on that link, I'd have probably imported a virus. So you've got to think about the subject, you've got to think about the sender. So just a reminder, please don't click on any email links if you don't recognize the sender or the subject. Just delete it. Do not reveal your user ID or password. We talk about passwords a lot, don't we? But your user ID is a key thing as well. If somebody has your password, it's useless without your user ID. So make sure that you don't reveal those. You keep those secret to yourself, other than obviously to the help desk and to your colleagues that do need to talk to you. Try to use a password that isn't easily guessable as well. So a lot of people might use a child's name. If you do that, maybe think about replacing the O with a 0 or the E with a 3, little things like that. Use a combination of uppercase, use special characters where you can as well. But then don't make your password XYZ1 and then change it to XYZ2 and then XYZ3 the next month after that, because obviously then you start to get a little bit lazy with the with the security of the password. So don't forget that. Don't click on any email links. Don't reveal your username or your password to anybody outside of the organization or inside, and do not use weak passwords because they will get hacked. And we are trying to avoid that sort of thing because we're all working digitally now, aren't we? Don't forget the Modern Workplace Hub and the staff IT guidance pages have quite a lot of information around that as well. Now, before we do a recap, I think we should have a quick look at calls. Now, we've had a look at chats, we've had a look at Teams, we've had a look at the files within Teams. So the last thing to go and have a look at is going to be calls. Any previous calls you've made will appear in the main body of the screen. Any calls that you regularly or most recently have made will appear in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. If you want to call somebody, and I can't make a call within this call, but if you do want to call somebody, you can type in their name. So type in somebody that doesn't appear there. There you go. Select them. And then I've got my options down here. And I think we're all used to these sort of icons, aren't we? You know, if you press that one, you're going to start a video call. You know, if you press this one, you're going to start a voice call. If you do start a voice call, you can change it into a video call as well. When you're making a video call, consider your background. Bear in mind that that can be distracting. And we're going to have a bit of a sort of calls and meetings masterclass in the next Teams session that we do, which I think is scheduled for just a couple of weeks' time. You don't have to use a camera if you've got one, You shouldn't feel under any compulsion to do that at all. If you just want to chat to somebody, then you don't even need to use Teams, do you? You could just give them a call on the mobile. But if you want to keep it in one place, then Teams is the place to do that. Now that's pretty much everything that we're going to be looking at in this session. We should be about 45-50 minutes into the session. There we go. Let's just go back and have a bit of a recap. Wherever you last left Teams is exactly where it will always reopen for you. You navigate through your options via the left-hand side. We started off pretty much in Teams. Within the Teams panel, you'll see any teams that you're already a member of. Some of them may already be unnested or opened so that you see the structure within them. To open and close them, simply use the little triangle to the left of them. You know that when you create a team, you need to give it a name, and you know that you can always go and edit anything you've created. I'm just going to call it Park Team 1. Click on to Done. And that change is automatically reflected. Within each team, you'll have posts and files. But to make life a little bit easier, you can split your team into channels. And within your channels, you can have dedicated posts and files. To get a file into your file area, you can upload it. There are some download options. As I said, they're not going to show up in this particular presentation, so we'll make sure that they're available to your next one. You can work collaboratively. That means at the same time online with any number of people updating your documents. If you think that that's going to get a little bit too busy or you're not going to be able to manage it too well, don't worry, because look, you've got your version history you can get to. And your version history will always allow you to go back and restore a previous version. So I didn't like that cost for signage. I thought it was a bit much. So I might go away and try and find another company. So if I go back to the previous version and restore that one, the restoration is in progress, which allows me to have a sip of my juice. Honestly, it is juice. There we go. A little bit too early for the. Oh no, it's gone 12, so I can open the sherry. And now when I go into that one, can you see signage is no longer there? So let's go back to versions. You can tell I like this, can't you? Go back to versions. And I wasn't able to find anything, so I could go back to the previous price and restore that one. And it's going to keep a track of all of those for me. Now, this is just a fraction of the functionality, and it's very much how to get started. It's very much a beginner's one. So we'll just go back to the team. So within the team, you can have your channels. Within your channels, you can have your files and your posts within those channels. If you do want to chat to somebody outside of that team, you can use the chat functionality. Now the producer's there's telling me there's a couple of questions. I'm not going to open those questions just yet. Probably will need to look at those afterwards because the time is marching on a little bit. Don't forget that you can format your messages within chat and that you can pop out your messages as well. Wherever you see those three dots, you'll have other options that you can use as well. I really like that pop-out chat one because it just gives you the opportunity to read it in a much clearer, bigger view as well. And then finally, we had a quick look at calls. And within calls, we had people that we've previously spoken to. We had the icons for video call, voice call. My most regular contacts are listed down there. If I need to pick somebody else up, I can go in, start typing in their name. The one other thing I can do within my chat, somebody has just very kindly reminded me to show you, is that I don't just have to chat to an individual. I could actually pick up a whole team. So no, not going to get that one just yet. Sorry about that. I'll show you that in the next session that we do. So hopefully now we've got a bit more of an idea about some of the basic functions that are available to us within Microsoft Teams. We haven't explored meetings or screen sharing. That's going to be in our next session. You can't really start sharing your screen or having meetings until you know exactly what's available within there. We've got some other sessions lined up as well, which look at Office 365, which complements Microsoft Teams, where we'll be having a look at things like the planner. We'll be having a look at Yammer, some of the communication channels. We've also got the Microsoft Outlook sessions as well. This is the first time a lot of people have had to start using not just Teams, but Microsoft Outlook. And in a lot of people's cases, it's the first time they've had to use IT equipment like laptops as well. So a lot of people getting used to a lot of new ways of working. And the other sessions that we've got, there are 8 sessions in total. This is the first of them. Are working from home sessions as well. So this is where we'll explore the best place for how to boost your signal for your Wi-Fi, whether or not you need to use NetMotion for certain things, whether you can just rely on your broadband and so on. And all of those schedules are available within the Modern Workplace Hub. As I say, we might do some changes to some of those sessions. They will still be on the same time, but there might be a new link that will go out to you once those sessions have been started. So I apologise now if I haven't been able to answer your questions straight away. I've noticed that we are pretty much up to 12:30, although we did start a couple of minutes later just while we were waiting for everybody to enter the lobby. We do need to finish on time. So at the end of the session, before I do say goodbye, I'll just remind you that there will be a link to the video of this, slightly edited to get rid of my ums and ahs, and we will endeavour to answer all of those questions in a timely manner for you as well. So just remains for me really to say thank you very much for joining in this very first live event, and we look forward to speaking to you all again soon. And my producer will probably now cut you off. Thanks a lot. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.